Hello and welcome to The Art of Negotiating the Best Deal book review and the things I really liked about this book and what I learned. So let's see. The first one we have check what and why the other side wants. And what I did here in this book is that almost every episode I just summarized or discourse is what I liked or what is this lecture is about. So the first one is check what and why the other side wants. You need to understand what exactly and why. The next one is hear what the other people frustration. You need to, sometimes there is a frustration in people's voices and you need to understand what is exactly is the frustration so you can tackle that. The next one is active listening. There is this active listening that you really listening, because sometimes you don't really listen. Sometimes it's like think you're listening and you don't really. So active listening, that's the idea. Next one is don't afraid to look dumb. Asking questions shows that you want to be engaged. Sometimes there is this idea of, oh, I don't want to ask questions. They think I don't know the subject and you think I'm dumb. I don't know stuff, and this is actually not correct. Because asking questions is actually quite the opposite. It actually shows that you are engaged in the process. Of course, if it's really fundamental things that you should know, and like don't ask what is inflation when you're like in some kind of like economic negotiation. Okay, I mean this is like fundamental things you need to know. But if something this is nothing that you like so obvious, you need to ask questions. Next one is doing research. Doing research is really important beforehand in order to really be able to make the best negotiation or to have some kind of leverage, because you know what's going on, what he wants, and what he's doing. Next one we have creative negotiation. Always have different options to solve the problem. The more, the better. So sometimes you need to have more options. So creative negotiation, you need to have, don't go only with one options, because sometimes one of them not going to work. So the more you have, the more ways you have to solve a problem, the better, because some of them will not work. Next one is build a relationship with a person and go slow. Don't rush into making deals or anything. Take it easy. Sometimes people are going really easy with they're trying to close the deal as soon as possible, and sometimes it's really important to build a relationship with the person. So go piece by piece, and this is build trust and etc. And this is actually the next one is trust. We need to find something that both can trust. Like, if I'm not going to do that, I'm going to pay you money. Promises are not helping. So promises that if I'm not gonna do that, I'll pay you money. If I'm not gonna stand in my word, I'll pay you money. And what he says that this is not working. You need trust to really trust the other side. So you trust you, and promises are not helping. So promises are not good as trust. Trust is much better. Next one is leverage. What's the options or alternatives you have over the other side? This is different from having different options to solve the problem. So leverage. So things you know, if you know what the other side wants. This is not having more options. More options, it's a different idea. More options that you have more options to solve the problem. Leverage is that when you know what the guy wants or why he needs that. So you need to know. You can press the right buttons, and you need to know where to push and where to not push, when you know what he's trying to accomplish here. So that's the leverage. Next one is start higher with your prices, go down with prices, and let the other part feel satisfied. This is a really known trick to negotiate. Start with a higher price than you actually want, then you can go down, and by that you can let the other people feel satisfied. But you need to really get him to feel satisfied about what he got eventually. We have also Galadian's psychology. Maybe I got it wrong, but the idea is when you don't want to quit because you already invested too much in it. And this is not only negotiation in general. Sometimes when you really invest into something, you say, I don't want to quit. I already invested it. Sometimes this is wrong. Sometimes, like, let's say you invested in really in one solution and it doesn't work. You need to understand that sometimes you need to pivot and try something else. Don't let this things takes you down. We have next one is non-linear bargaining. Start with what most important for you and go on to other, but make sure the ability to go back to different subjects later on. So non-linear bargaining is, don't go with the order like A, B, C, D, E, and etc. You can go start with one and go make a little mess, in other words. It doesn't have to be linear, but just make sure what it says, and just make sure to go back on those subjects you didn't touch eventually. Next one is scheduling. When to have a negotiation is really important. So beginning of the day, end of the day, really important with you. What times you're better during the day, or you just got out of the flight. There's a lot of things that go into the time of the day. Also, the other people's time. So like 12 at night, maybe this is not the best time to have a negotiation. Next one is, before you start shouting at the clerk, you should make a list of what is your interest. With knowing that, you will know what to ask. So this is what happens, for example, when there is some problem with the hotel, they don't have enough rooms and this and that, and you initially or instantly what you want to do is just start shouting at the clerk, and whoa, what was the room, and first of all, she can't do anything, but why you need to wait and do your research before is because you need to know what you want. What do you want to get? What are you trying to accomplish? And what can you even get? Because when you know what can you get, or what is the company policy, you know what to ask for. And we're just shouting on them, this is not going to get you anything. The next one is, what are the other side interests? They always has different interests. You need to understand why are their interests. It's similar to the leverage, I think, in some way, but you need to understand what they exactly want, what are their interests, and you can play around with it. Next one is, telling stories is grabbing crowd attention. Just in general, when you tell stories, this is the grab that it's always true. People like to hear stories, especially if they're good ones, and probably negotiation that works pretty well as well. Next one is, make a role play with a friend before going to a negotiation. Make him be harsh on you, just like the other side might be. So do a role play. Try to go through the negotiation process with someone, friend or spouse, whatever, and make him try to be harsh as possible. Don't tell them to be easy on you, because the other side not necessarily will be easy on you at all. So that's really helpful to make that role play in advance. Next one is, understand the different culture have different way of negotiating. Some, like French, are more direct and take their time, unlike the Americans. So we need to understand that especially if you're negotiating with some people from other cultures, the negotiation is not always similar in the ways they work. So for example, French takes things more easily. Americans are more right to the point and let's try to make a deal as soon as possible. Next one is a way of finding a job. Ask different people for information about the job, and then talk a little bit about yourself and ask them if they need you, if they think you will be a good fit for the job. So he gives a good tip of how to find a job is by asking people information about a specific job and let them talk a little bit about it. And talk a little bit about yourself, just in general, had nothing to do with their job, and then ask for their opinion if they think this job will be a good fit. And and eventually the idea is that they will offer you a job, or they'll offer to help you. because they don't see that you're trying to like trick them into something. They really see that you're a good fit, and they will might recommend you or help you with something. It's really a cool way. It is manipulative though. The next one is think inside the box. I mean, work with the rules and then work around them. So sometimes you need to think inside the box, so you need to work with the rules and try then work a little bit around them. Interesting. Humble. Next one is humble inquiry. Need to be humble and not control the situation. That's the main idea of good negotiating. Don't try to control the situation. Be humble, be settled, and don't try to be control it. Next one is confront the problem, not the person. Also engage the person with the problem. Things like, what do you think, or on this problem. So some people are really confronting the person and not the problems. I mean, doesn't help. You need to tackle the problem, not the person, and also get them into it. So things like, what do you think? How can we solve this? And this really help the other person to feel important, probably, and that you really trying to do something about this problem. All right, that's it. Thank you.